This conference will now be
overview.
recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
Now in today's class, I'm going to discuss about the evaluation of mean square error. First, before going to see this, in the last class or in the previous class, I discussed about the analogy between vector and signal. In that, we observed that the component of one vector with respect to other vector should be calculated using some mathematical relationship that we derived in the concept of vector, which is C12. Similarly, the same concept is applied for the signals also to calculate, to approximate one signal with respect to other signal that we can do using some mathematical relation. Suppose to find that component vector, if the component vector, if the component is 0, then we observe that those two vectors are mutually perpendicular to each other. Similarly, if the component is 0 in the case of signals, then we observe that those two functions are mutually orthogonal to each other. Then after that, we calculated the component by considering the approximated function, and in there we calculated the mean value or the average value first. But we observed that the mean value or average value, while approximating it, will give positive errors and negative errors. Some errors may get cancelled, and uh, that average value or the mean value may not be suitable for when we approximate one function with a null function. So to overcome that, instead of going for mean value, we'll go for mean square error. And in mean square error also, we assumed that we have a relation, we calculated the epsilon, and thereby we find the minimum value, and we calculated the value of the component value for only one iteration. And we observed that the waveform, when we approximate the rectangular pulse with a uh, when we consider the rectangular pulse, and if we approximate with a sine waveform, for one iteration, for one approximation, for finding one component, we observed that the the waveform, which is the approximated function and the actual function, they are not exactly correlated. So for that, now how we can map, how we can correlate, how we can approximate that, that we'll see in today's class. Now in today's class, before going to see the topic in detail, now if we see the average function, the average value which we can calculate it from the error function, which is given by fe of t, which you can write it as fe of t equal to f1 of t minus c12 into f2 of t. This f1 of t is the actual function, f2 of t is the function which is to be approximated, and c12 is the component. And if you take the difference between that, from that you will get the error. If error is minimum, then automatically the function f1 of t and f2 of t, they are close to each other. And we observed that here we are calculating the average value for the error function, and we'll get the positive errors as well as negative errors. Because of that, while doing the averaging, these some may cancel each other. And this, if we approximate this by considering an example, if we want to approximate sine function with a null function over the interval, which gives a value 0, but in practice it is not 0. As you know, when you're plotting the sinusoidal waveform, the sinusoidal waveform is giving 0 only at certain values over the interval 0 to 2 pi. So instead of calculating the average value or the mean value, we need to go for mean square value. That means to calculate this mean square value, we have to use we have to represent that function. Earlier we used fe of t. Now instead of using fe of t, now we have to use fe square of t. And this is denoted by a function epsilon, which you can write it as 1 by T2 minus T1 and all that. Earlier, here we used only Fe of t, but now we have to use Fe square of t. Now Fe of t is nothing but F1 of t minus C12 into F2 of t. So when you square it, it looks like A minus B whole square. To find the minimum value for this, as you are calculating the component, so to find the component, this component value for which is to be minimum, we need to differentiate this function with respect to C12 and equal to 0. Then you will get the minimum for minimum value. So while doing that, it looks like A minus B whole square, which you can write it as A square plus B square minus 2AB. Using that formula, when you take A square, you will get F1 square T. B square, you will get C1 square, C12 square, F2 square T, minus 2AB, minus 2C12, F1T, F2 of T. Like that you are going to get. And when you differentiate it, since here this d by dc2, the rest of the terms for the second and third term will have C12. When you're differentiating it, you will get some, the differentiation is possible. Whereas the first term, since you are differentiating the function while integrating over the limits for this F1t, you will get some constant. If you differentiate a constant, you will get 0. So this integration, this part of the integration becomes 0. Hence, the second and third term will exist, and from that you are going to get the relation for the component. That is, this is what the relation for the component. And similarly from the vectors also we got the relation. If C12 is 0, then we can say that these two functions are mutually orthogonal to each other. Or if here in the case of vectors, if C12 is 0, then the dot product of these two vectors are 0, which means that those two vectors are mutually orthogonal to each other. So that is what the analogy between signals and vector. Then we are calculating the mean square error. Now to calculate the mean square error, already we calculated the mean square error by considering only one component. So if we consider only one component, the actual function and an approximated function, they are not closing, they will not close to each other. That means the error which you are going to get is not minimum. So what we have to do is, we have to find the value of E when instead of considering only one component, you have to consider n number of components. Now what we have to do is, we have to consider the same equation, the previous equation for calculate the mean square error equation. Instead of considering C12 alone, now we will consider n number of components of C. Now observe this equation. We are going to represent this equation sigma, which is equal to 1 by T2 minus T1 integral T1 to T2. This is same. Here earlier we used F1 of t, that we can write it as F of t now. And here we'll represent earlier minus C1 to F2 of t we represent earlier. But when considering minus C1 to F2 of t, observe this equation, you will understand that. This is what the equation. Here we'll consider F1 of t and C1 to F2 of t. But here the C12 is the only component you are calculating. But while calculating only one component, we observed that the error is not minimum. So to find the minimum error, I instead of considering one component, I have to consider n number of components. So to represent that, I use sigma r equal to 1 to n CR, and this F2 of t I can write it as GR of t. So please try to understand the same function, the same mean square error, we are representing instead of considering one component, now we are considering n number of components. Please try to understand. So if it is one component, I can write C12 F2 of t. If it is two components, I can write C21 F21 of, like that I have to write. So if there are n number of components, I can write the approximated function for n number of components. This approximated function I have to write for all the n number of functions. So please try to compare with the previous equation. My f1 of t is now my f1 of t is f of t. My f2 of t is now gr of t. And my C12 earlier, now we represent as CR. But here, CR and GR is not a single component. We're considering this for a number of components. So for that, we need to use this summation. So if we expand this, then you can write the first term. It looks like a minus b whole square again. You can write a square, b square, a square plus b square minus 2ab. Now observe this. B square part, you are writing sigma r equal to 1 CR square GR square t minus 2ab, all that. And this part of the integration, while doing this, anyway, it becomes 0, that you already know. Now, observe this part, the second and third terms in this equation. Now, if you consider r equal, if I consider summation, if we consider 5 components, then I can write sigma r equal to 1 to 5. If I consider 10 components, then I can write r equal to 1 to 10. Like that, I can write this, I can expand this summation, and I can simplify it. So this part, 1 by t2 minus t1, which is common for all the terms, 1 by t2 minus t1 integral t1 to t2 f of t into grt. This you can write it as, you take this part, and since we have this CR and here also we have CR, for the n number of terms, please try to understand, for n number of terms, this CR square, here we have CR. On either side, CR gets cancelled, you will get only CR. So CR integral part, this you can treat it as, you please observe this part, this right side term is from this, and this left side term is from this. So from this you can write this CR and CR gets cancelled, and you can write this equation as CR into KR. Now what is the use of this? Now I'm going to write the relation for CR first. Once if I write the relation for CR, if I consider first one component, I can write C1. If I consider two components, I can consider C1, C2. If I consider three components, I have to calculate C1, C2, C3. If I consider four components, I can consider C1, C2, C3, C4, like that. So that's the reason the same mean square error which we calculated earlier in the previous class is only for one approximation. Now we use the same concept for n number of approximations. That is the only difference. Now, if you do that, if you simplify that, for n number of components, you can write it like this: C1 square K1. Now observe it. This you can write it as C1 KR. If you simplify it, this you can write it as C1 square. This part of integration, you can write it as C1 square K1, C2 square K1, like that. And the total equation which you can write it as, sigma equal to 1 by T2 minus T1, all that. This part and A minus B, the entire equation, this you can have, wherever we have this integration, I can replace that with this equation, and I can have a relation like this. And finally, the equation is like this. So while simplifying this, now the relation for CR, now observe this. Earlier we considered, now this we call it as completeness. Now try to understand. So what do we mean by completeness? So if we want to approximate the one function with respect to another function, we calculated only one component. When we consider only one component, the approximation or the error which we calculated is not exactly fitting into the actual function. So that instead of considering one component, if we consider n number of components, then it will fit the approximated function will fit into the actual function. That we call it as completeness. Now we shall now see the approximation improves. Now if approximate improves when a large number of mutual orthogonal functions are used. So Now the same sinusoidal function, earlier we considered only this part, f of t, which you can write as c1 to sine t. Now what I did is, now instead of considering only one component, though I to consider n number of components, the same, this f of t is the actual function and this is the approximated function. So this approximated function, earlier we considered only one component, now we consider n number of components, c1 sine t, c2 sine 2t, so on like that, cn sine nt. Now observe it. So this c1, c2, c3, so on, cn are to be calculated. That to calculate all that, we have a generalized equation which is given by CR. CR, which you can write it as integral 0 to 2 pi f of t sine rt divided by 0 to 2 pi sine square rt. Now try to understand the logic behind this. Earlier, if we consider only one component, we represent f of t, the actual function, with sine t. Since you are approximated this sine t is the approximated function, f of t is the actual function. And here in the denominator, we have to write approximated function. But the approximated function is having now how many components? 1, 2, 3, so on like that, n number of components. In general, each and every component which you can write as sine t, sine 2t, sine 3t, sine nt, that you can represent by a function sine rt. Suppose if you consider one component, then r becomes 1. Then you can write c1 equal to integral 0 to 2 pi f of t sine t dt divided by integral 0 to 2 pi sine square t dt. If you calculate c2, then you will get this component you are going to get. Now in the place of c2, you replace r with sine 2t, then sine square 2t dt. Like that, you are going to calculate for each and every value of r. This will gives you the components c1, c2, c3, so on, cn. Now, after solving this function with the function that is given, here f of t is a rectangular pulse, which is given by f of t equal to 1, which is existing between 0 to pi, and f of t equal to minus 1, that is existing between pi to 2 pi. And similarly, you have to calculate CR using this sine square RT. And if you simplify, please wait for a while. Yeah. So if you simplify this part of integration over the limits, it looks like the denominator is like sine square theta. So when you solve it, you will get 1 by pi for all this. And if you solve the numerator part, you are going to get 4 by pi r. So, and similarly, this 4 by pi r is here when r is odd. Now try to understand. And it is 0 when r is even. That means what we have to do is, here you have to consider r value as 1, 2, 3, so on like that. If you consider r equal to 1, you are going to get 4 by pi. If you consider r equal to 2, then you will get 0. If you consider r equal to 3, then you will get 4 by 3 pi. If you consider r equal to 4, again you will get 0. Like that, for few samples, for few components, if you calculate, then we'll get a generalized equation like this. Here the generalized equation is 4 by pi r is the answer when r is odd. And when r is even, it is 0. So your CR is CR equal to 4 by pi r when r is odd, and when r is even, it is 0. From that, I can say that if you calculate C1, C2, C3, so on like that, Cn, now observe this equation. The same function f of t is now approximated. Now the same function f of t is approximated. Earlier, we considered only one approximation. Now try to understand this. If we consider only one approximation, then it becomes 4 by pi sine t. That is like this. Your actual function is rectangular pulse and your waveform is 4 by pi sin t. If it is only one component, if it is two components, that is C1 and C2, and C2 is not there, so C2 is 0. Now if you consider two components, that is for odd components only it will exist. For even components it is not existing. So 4 by pi into sin t into 1 by 3 sin 3t, 1 by 5 sin 5t plus 1 by 7 sin 7t, like that, so on you will get for odd values. For even values it is 0. Now if we consider these two functions, these two parts, then if you plot it, then you will get a graph like this. Now try to understand. Here you will get only one sinusoidal waveform, but here you are going to get a complex waveform which is like this for two terms. If we consider, now I am considering these two terms, sin t and sin 3t terms. Like that, then if we consider three terms like this, sin t, sin 3t and sin 5t, if we plot the graph, then it looks like this. Now try to understand, as you go on increasing this number of terms, then automatically you can find, now for here we consider three count terms. Now here we will consider four terms, sin t, sin 3t, sin 5t and sin 7t. Now observe it, as you go on increasing this number of terms in the function, almost your sine waveform is closely mapping to the rectangular pulse. That means from this I can say that as you go on increasing the number of components, when compared with one term, two terms, three terms, four terms, like that, n number of terms, almost if you go for n number of terms, your sine waveform is closely mapped to it, is closely fitted in the rectangular pulse. That's when it is closely fitted with the rectangular pulse, then automatically you will get the error which is minimum. This what we call it as completeness. So if we want to go for the error to be minimum, we need to consider n number of components, and for each and every component we need to calculate the error. Now try to understand the advantage of using one component with respect to n number of components. I can say that if I use only one component, see this diagram, you can understand it. If I use only one component, I'll have the scaling factor 4 by pi. But now the scaling factor is 4 by pi into 1 plus 1 by 3. Automatically, the amplitude gets decreases when compared with this amplitude, and this amplitude is less. Like that, as you go on increasing the number of terms or the number of components, automatically your approximated function will fit into the actual function, so that the error gets reduced, or you will get the minimum error. This is what we call it as completeness. Now we'll see this with some example also. Now try to understand the same problem we are considering, the same rectangular pulse. Your actual function is existing between 0 to 2 pi, and the total period is 2 pi, which you already know. T2 minus T1, which you can write, your T1 is 0 and T2 is 2 pi. So the total period is T2 minus T1, which is 2 pi. And here you have to write integral T1 to T2, f square t, C1, all that. If you simplify this, you will get a value which is 2 pi. And you calculated all these values, C1 square, C2 square, all that. So to calculate all that, first I am calculating this part of the integration. So here f of t is 1, which is existing between 0 to pi, and f of t is minus 1, which is existing between pi to 2 pi. And your CR, which you already calculated from the previous analysis, your CR is 4 by pi r, and it is when it is r, if r is odd, you have this equation. If r is even, then it becomes 0. So in this place, I have to substitute C1, C2, C3. In all the cases, I have to substitute this value of CR. Now your CR is 4 by pi r, and if R is odd, and it is 0 if R is even. Now you have to substitute that. Then you need to calculate KR. KR is nothing but sine square RT. Now you have to calculate KR, which is sine square theta, which you can write it as 1 minus cos 2 theta by 2. And if you simplify it, you will get the value KR, which is equal to 2 pi. KR, which is equal to 2 pi. Now try to understand, whatever be the value of R, your KR is simply pi only. Now try to understand from this. Now I'm going to substitute if we consider only one term. So if we consider only one term, that is C1 only. Now try to understand in this equation. This is what the equation is. So here what I'll do is, I'm going to consider one component, then two components, then three components, four components, like that. Then I'm going to check the error. Now, if we consider the only one term approximation, that is C1 only. So if we consider C1 only, then you will get epsilon 1, which is 1 by T2 minus T1, that is that. And integral of all that f square t is this. And 4 by pi r you have to write CR. That is for C1, it is 4 by pi. And it is C1 square, so that you have to write whole square. And your KR, which is K1, which is pi. If you solve all this, you will get the value, which is 0.19. Now, if we consider two term approximations, two term means I have to consider C1 and C3. Since C2 is 0, so observe this diagram, you can understand. So for this is one term approximation, this is two term approximation, and this is three term approximation, and this is four term approximation. So when considering one term, we'll have only 4 by pi sine t. When consider two terms, 4 by pi sine t and 1 by, so we'll have C1 and C3. And here we have C1, C3 and C5. Here we'll have C1, C3, C5 and C7. So like that. So your C1 is 4 by pi. Your C1, now two term approximation, you have to consider C1 and C3. So C1 is 4 by pi and C3 is 4 by 3 pi, and KR is common for one term or two term, which is pi only. You write pi. Then if you simplify all this, you will get 0.1. Then for three terms, now observe it, C1, C3, C5. Now observe this, from this you can observe that as you go on increasing the number of terms, the error gets decreases 0.06. Now if you go for four terms, then it is 0.051 and so on. So it can be easily seen from this, I can say that the mean square error diminishes rapidly as you increase the number of terms. So I can say that my error becomes less. My error becomes less if I increase the number of terms. If I increase the number of terms, automatically the error becomes less, and my actual function, my approximated function will fit into the actual function if I go for a number of approximations. That's what I can conclude from this analysis. So please try to understand. So with the with this the concept related to the analogy between vectors and signals and mean square error and completeness is completed, and with this the topics related to the first unit is also completed. Please check once. And now what I'm going to do is this class and one or two classes and the next class also, I'm going to solve some problems. Now I request all of you, please take a notebook and start writing these problems. And I'm going to use, if possible, I'm going to use whiteboard also online to solve your to solve that problem, to explain that. So first problem, please, I request all of you, please take a notebook. Now I'm going to start with the problems. And this in this problems, I have given the problem as well as the solution also. If you understand the solution, then I'm not going to I'm not going to solve it. If you face any difficulty, you please post it in the chat box, or you unmute your uh, and you can tell me, so that I can stop at that point and then I can use whiteboard. Please try to understand. In the online, we can use whiteboard also. That is possible. And with I have a with a pen like thing, like the traditional classroom board type of thing, I can do that. But if the solution which you can understand, or the problem which I have explained and understand to you, then such problems I may not solve it on a board. If you are not in a position to understand any of the problems, then you please unmute your phone, but don't only one person. You CR, you please take the responsibility. You please post it in the chat box. Then I'll unmute your phone or laptop, and you please tell to me. Then automatically I can uh, stop the sharing of this screen, and I'll open whiteboard and I'll start explaining there. I hope you will understand what I mean to tell you. Is it clear? If it is clear, you please post it in the chat box. Yeah, good. Whenever you are facing difficulty in understanding the problem, then I am going to use whiteboard, online whiteboard, which you call it as Jamboard. In Google, it is there. And I'm going to have a digital board also with me. I'm going to write it in the digital board, and it will display to you. So when the problem, when the solution is not understandable to you, then I am using that. So CR, you please take the responsibility to uh, whoever be the student. If you are not understanding the problem, then you post it in the chat box. CR, you please check the chat box and unmute yourself. And the reason is, the moment when I use this, I'm hiding this meeting screen, and I'm using the sharing screen, right? So I'm not in a position to see all your charts and screen. So that please unmute and you tell to me, so that I can stop at that point, and I'm going to use this whiteboard and start explaining the problem. Yeah. Now please take notebook. Now the first problem. Now see this problem. Now the first problem is, please make a note of it. A continuous time signal x of t is shown in figure. This is x of t is shown in figure. Each of the please label each of the, draw the sketch and label each of the following signals. Now you need to, what we have to do here is, this is the signal x of t which is given to us. He has asked us to plot x of t minus 2, x of 2t, x of t by 2, and x of minus t. Now try to understand the question carefully. When you understand the question, automatically you can solve it very easily. Here, this is nothing but the problem is nothing but the operation of basic operations on signals, right? Now the signal which is given to us is a triangular pulse, and observe this waveform, which is x of t, which is existing from 0 to 4. The waveform is a triangular pulse, a ramp signal like thing, which is existing from 0 to 4 with an amplitude, with a maximum amplitude of 5, which is, sorry, with a maximum amplitude of 3. Here what he has asked us to calculate, he has asked us to calculate x of t minus 2, x of 2t, x of t by 2, and x of minus t. Now please try to understand, all the operations which is applied here is on time domain. That means the first one is x of t minus 2 means this is nothing but time shifting. Here x of 2t is nothing but time scaling, and x of t by 2 is also time scaling, and x of minus t is the time reversal. So please try to understand the meaning for this. So the first one is x of t minus 2. That means this is looking like x of t minus capital T. That means the signal x of t is shifted by a value t. Here x of 2t is nothing but x of ct. Here c is the scaling factor, as you know. If c is greater, if c is greater than 1, it becomes a compressed signal. If c is less than 1, the scaling factor is less than 1, then you will get an expanded signal. So please try to understand this. And now all these things you need to apply to x of t only. This is what the x of t signal is. Now try to understand x of t minus 2 or t plus 2. We have two terms are there. T minus 2 is nothing but, I already discussed this. This you can write in general like this: x of t plus or minus capital T. So when you consider x of t plus or minus capital T, I can shift the signal towards right, which I can call it as positive shift. I can shift the signal towards left, which I can call it as negative shift. So to identify whether the signal is shifted towards right or towards left, we have a small technique. Just observe this technique. Now see this equation, see this function. Here he has given the function x of t minus 2, right? Now take the term which is there in the braces and equal to 0. Now when you take the term which is there inside the braces and equal to 0, then what you will get? T minus 2 equal to 0 from the t equal to 2, which means that your actual signal x of t is shifted by a value 2, and since it is positive, it is shifted by a value 2 intervals towards right. Now observe it. Now observe it. Now observe this diagram carefully, x of t. Now you push this, assume that here we have wheels at the bottom of this triangular a ramp signal or a triangular pulse. Assume that at the bottom we have wheels. Assume it. Suppose if you push it in this direction, then automatically what will happen? Now here we have 0 and it is 4 now. If you push it once, it is from here to here it moves, then it starts at 1 and it goes to 5. If you push it again, then it starts at 2 and it goes to 6, right? So that means assuming that the wheels are there at the bottom, and the moment when you push it, it will shift from one position to the other position, right? That's what we call it as time shift. That's what we call it as time shift. Now try to understand this. Now, if it is now, since it starts at 0, I can represent it as x of t. Now suppose if we push it once, assume that this is moving instead of 0, the waveform is started at 1 and it is ending at, assume that we have the wheel. The moment when you push it, every time it will move one interval, let us assume. That means first if you push it, it moves from 0 to 1. Again if you push it, it moves from 1 to 2. Again if you push it, it moves from 2 to 3, like that. Assume it like that. The moment when you push it once, it moves from 0 to 1, right? It moves from 0 to 1. Then in such case, you can't call it as x of t. Your x of t is different, and after pushing that, the waveform is different. Then in such case, you have to call it as x of 1 minus t, or x of t minus 1. Sorry, x of t minus 1. So that means when you push it once, you will get the signal is starting at 1, so that you can write it as x of t minus 1. So again, if you push it, it starts at the waveform starts at 2. So I can write it as t minus 2. So observe this waveform A, which is there in this slide. This is what x of t minus 2. Now the waveform, earlier waveform is starting at 0 and it ends at 4. But since you push it towards right by 2 intervals, since it is t minus 2 and you equate it 0, then you will get t equal to 2, which means that the signal, the actual signal x of t is moving, since the value of t is 2, which is positive, the waveform is moving towards right in the positive direction by 2 intervals, by a value 2. So automatically your waveform, your actual waveform x of t will start at 2 as you push it to by 2 intervals. Since the ending interval is 4, but now the ending interval is not 4. As you push it, it moves, it is shifting, the waveform is shifting, so the signal is ending at 6. The same waveform you are going to get with the same amplitude, but earlier it is starting at 0 and ending at 4, but because of the shifting by 2 intervals, it starts at 2 and it ends at 6. Is it clear? Can you post it in the chat box? The one which I discussed is clear to you? Please post it in the chat box. Yeah, is it clear? Yeah. So that means try to understand the moment you shift it, it depends on the term which is there inside this function. Now you please understand the same thing. Suppose you can plot t plus 2 also. Assume it t plus 2. Instead of t minus 2, we have x of t plus 2. Then what you have to do? You have to take this term which is there in the bracket and equal to 0. Then what you will get? You will get t equal to minus 2, which means that the same signal x of t is shifted towards left by minus 2. When it is shifting towards left by minus 2, it should start at minus 2 and it should end at 2. So please try to understand all these things are possible. I'm going to discuss one important point at this point of time. I'm going to share Scilab links also to you after the completion of today's class. You please practice all that using Scilab so that you can understand this, all these concepts. So it's very simple and easy also. So this is how you are going to have this signal. I can shift the signal towards right. If the term inside this braces is positive, whatever be the value, that many intervals, it will shift. The actual signal will shift to that much value towards right. If it is negative, that much value of the actual signal will shift towards left by that much value. If it is shifting towards right, then we can call it as positive shift. That means your actual signal should be shifted towards right by to certain value. Then we call it as positive shift. If it is shifted towards left by certain value, then we call it as negative shift. That's what this figure A represents the solution for x of t minus 2. Please try to understand, while doing this shifting, your amplitude doesn't affect. The amplitude of the signal doesn't affect. Only the time part of the signal is only affecting. This we call it as time shifting. So if it is positive, you will get positive time shift. If it is negative, if it is shifting towards negative, then we call it as negative time shift. So negative time shift means here you will get the term which is inside this braces should be positive, and if you equate to 0, you will get a term which is negative. That's what we call it as negative shift. Now observe this. Now observe the second bit. the second bit is x of 2t. Here, your t is existing from 0 to 4. The actual x of t is existing from 0 to 4. But in the place of t, now we represent 2t. So please try to understand. Here, in general, we can represent this as x of capital C comma t, capital C, x of capital CT, capital C and small t. That C is a scaling factor. If C is greater than 1, you will get a compressed signal. If C is less than 1, then you will get an expanded signal. Please try to understand this. We already discussed in the concept of operations of basic operations of signals. So the scale, if the scaling factor is greater than 0, is greater than 0, is opposed to greater than 1, then you can call it as compressed signal. And if the scaling factor is less than 1, then you can call it as expanded signal. Now observe this x of 2t. That means earlier we have the graph for on x-axis we have time scale, on y-axis we have x of t. Now your time scale is existing from 0 to 4. Please try to understand. Your time scale is existing from 0 to 4 and you have plotted the graph. But in this case, x of 2t, you have the same time scale, but now what we have to do is, when you consider this 2t, your t becomes 2t now. So whatever interval it is existing, starting and ending, you please try to understand. Your starting time interval is 0 and ending interval is 4. So now 2t, if you write 2 into 0, 0. And now here you have to write, if you write 4, when you consider 2t, it becomes 8. But you don't have the signal up to 8. So please try to understand this. When you consider 2t, don't think that your time scale is expanding. Your time scale is compressing. Now, you have, for the actual signal x of t, the waveform is existing only from 0 to 4. That means your t is existing from 0 to 4 only. And for all other values, it is 0 only. So instead of t, now what we have 2t. That means what we have to do is, I have to fit the same signal x of t in the time slot of 2t. So 0 becomes 0 and 4 becomes, now it is 2. Try to understand why it is 4 becomes 2. If you take t equal to 2, 2 into 2 becomes 4, right? So that's the reason you have the signal which is existing only from 0 to 4. But if we consider up to 4, if you draw this like this up to 4, then when you consider t as 4, 4 into 2 becomes 8. But you don't have 8, up to 8 we don't have the signal. So please try to understand, in the case of if the scaling factor is greater than 1, you will not get an expanded signal. You will get a signal which is compressed one. Now observe x of t and x of 2t. X of t is the actual signal, x of 2t is the compressed signal. It is not the expanded signal. Please try to understand this. Is it clear up to this? Please post it in the chat box. If it is clear, post it in the chat box. Yes. So try to understand. Always, please try to understand whatever operations that we are doing. Your actual signal, your actual function only you have to consider, and based on that you have to do this. Here, if you observe time in time scaling, when you consider time scaling, as you go on increasing 2t, your actual t is existing from 0 to 4. That means I have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have the signal. If you consider 2t, Again, what you will get? 0, you will get 2, you will get 4, you will get, and you will get 6, you will get 8, you will get. But for can you have the signal for 6 and 8 here? You don't have the signal for 6 and 8. So you will have signal for 0, 1, and 2. That's the reason you have to plot the same waveform only for between 0 to 2 only. That's the reason you have to use this. When you use this scaling factor which is greater than 1, you will not get the expanded signal, you will get the compressed signal. Now observe this t, the third bit, which is x of t by 2. Now this t by 2, I can write it as x of 1 by 2 into t. That 1 by 2, I can write it as 0.5. This you can also write it as x of 0.5 into t. Now try to understand, here my scaling factor is less than 1. When the scaling factor is less than 1 for the third bit, for the C bit, if the scaling factor is less than 1, I'll get an expanded signal. Please try, make a note of it. If the scaling factor is greater than 1, you will get a compressed signal, which is explained in B bit. If the scaling factor is less than 1, you will get an expanded signal, which is explained in C bit. Now observe the difference between B and C. B is the expanded signal of x of t, and C is the, sorry, B is the compressed signal of x of t, and C is the expanded signal of x of t. Now observe this t by 2. This I can write it as 0.5 t. Now when you consider 0.5, here you will have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. That means your actual signal is existing from 0 to 4. So when you consider this, you will get 0, you'll get, if you consider 1, it becomes 0.5. If you consider 2, it becomes 1. If you consider 3, it becomes 1.5. If you consider 4, it becomes 4 by 2, it becomes 2. That means up to 8, I can plot it. Now, if you consider 8, I can write, if t is 8, 8 by 2 becomes 4. So your actual signal will start from, will exist from 0 to 4, but the expanded signal will exist from 0 to 8 with the same amplitude, which is 3. Now observe this. Now observe the difference between x of t, x of 2t, and x of t by 2. X of t is the actual signal. X of 2t is the compressed signal of x of t with a scaling factor of 2. And x of t by 2 is the expanded signal of x of t with a scaling factor of 0.5. With a scaling factor of 0.5. Please try to understand, as you observe the scaling factor, if the scaling factor is greater than 1, you will get a compressed signal. If the scaling factor is greater than 1, sorry, is less than 1, you will get an expanded signal. And here the important point which you have to understand is, always this expanded signal and a compressed signal should fit in the actual signal time duration only. Please try to understand that. But here the time duration is 4, but when you consider 4, 4 by 2 becomes 2. So that you can write, you can go, in the case of C bit, you can go up to 8. 8 by 2 is 4, which is your actual one. But here, if you see x of 2t, if you consider 2, 2 into 2 becomes 4. The actual one is 4 only. Up to that only. If you consider 3, it becomes 6. But you don't have the actual signal up to 6. That's the reason you have to compare your x of t, and you have to plot these graphs of expressed and expanded and compressed signals. Always keep, make a note. Your scaling factor, if the scaling factor, which you can write it as x of capital CT, x of capital CT, if capital C is greater than 1, then you will get a compressed signal, and in such, for such signal, you won't get the actual time duration of the actual signal. You will get the time duration which is less than the actual signal time duration. Please make a note of it. And in the expanded case, if we consider the time duration, if we consider the scaling factor which is less than 1, for such signals, the time duration which is always greater than the time duration of your actual signal, and it depends on the actual signal. Please try to understand that. So there is a simple technique or simple logic. If the scaling factor is greater than 1, your time duration of this new signal which is less than the time duration of the actual signal. Please make a note of it. If the time duration is less than 1, then you will get a new signal whose time duration is more than the actual time signal duration. Observe here, the actual signal time duration for x of t is 4, but for x of 2t it is 2, but for x of t by 2 it is 8, which means that I can say that the compressed signal is having less time duration when compared with the actual time signal, and the expanded signal time duration is always greater than, uh, is always more than the actual signal. That's what I can conclude from this. So the examples which are here is B represents the compressed signal and C represents the expanded signal. So which is what x of 2t and x of t by 2 is. Now the next bit, which is x of minus t. Now observe it. Now the difference here is x of t and x of minus t. So it's a simple thing. X of t is the actual signal and x of minus t means it is nothing but the mirror image of x of t. The mirror image of x of t. That means what we have to do is you replace t with minus t. You replace t with minus t. When you replace t with minus t, so now all your signal which is in positive side. Now when you replace t with minus t, now 0 for positive and negative will have the same 0, and 1, if it is positive it is 1. If it is minus t, then you will get minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4 and minus 5. That means you have to plot the same graph. Instead of positive side, you have to plot it on the negative side. That means what you have to do is you have to rotate this actual x of t from positive direction towards the negative direction. That means how you are rotating it? You are rotating horizontally or vertically? You are rotating this vertically like this. Means you are swapping from one domain to the other domain. This is positive and this is negative. So I am moving this in this direction like this. So this is what x of minus t is. Now observe the difference between x of t and x of minus t. You will understand. So x of t is the actual signal. X of minus t is the mirror image of x of t. So when you take in the mirror image, you rotate it like this along the vertical axis. Horizontal axis ni assuming that ఈ టీని మనకు పాసిబుల్ అవుతుంది ఇట్లా లిఫ్ట్ చేయడానికి వీలవుతుంది అనుకుంటే ఇలా లిఫ్ట్ చేస్తూ ఇట్లా వర్టికల్ గా ఇలా ఇటు పక్క షిఫ్ట్ చేయాలి. దట్స్ వాట్ దిస్ ఎక్స్ ఆఫ్ మైనస్ టీ ఈస్. సో ఐ థింక్ ఈజ్ ఇట్ క్లియర్? దిస్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఈస్ క్లియర్. If it is clear, please post it in the chat box. The example is clear. Please post it in the chat box. Okay, good. So now observe it. Here we consider all the signals which is in time domain. So and the waveform which we have represented is a continuous signal, continuous time signal. So that's the reason we solve the problem also. A continuous time signal, always remember, when you say continuous time signal, we have to represent in time domain, x of t, right? This is what the example, and in this example we just applied the concept of time shifting, time scaling, time reversal. three principles we applied. So A bit is an example for time shifting. B and C bit are the examples for time scaling, and C bit, D bit is the example for time reversal. So we have seen in this example, we have seen three properties: time shifting property, time scaling property, and time reversal property. So is it clear? And we applied these properties for the continuous time signal. When I say continuous time signal, the waveform is continuous and it should be drawn, the value should be represented for each and every time instant. That's what the continuous time signal. Now we'll go for the next example. Now see this next example. So in this example, we are not considering the time signal. We are considering a discrete time signal. Now try to understand the discrete signal and continuous signal. Discrete time signal is one which will not exist for all the instants of time. It will exist only at some specific instants of time. You have to sketch and plot each of the following signals. Here you have to plot. Now here x of n. Now observe this x of n. Here x of n. Now see the waveform and tell me the values for x of n from the in the chart box. Now see, or can you able to follow me or not? We'll see. Now tell me, observe this waveform x of n, mark the values in the chart box. Please see it and mark the values in the chart box. Now I want the values at each and every instant of time. Please post it in the chart box and mark the values also. Have you posted it in the chart box? Let me check how many of you have posted it in the chart box. I request all of you, please check the waveform. Check this waveform x of n. Observe this waveform and tell me the values in the chart box. Chart box లో ఈ waveform ను అబ్జర్వ్ చేసి వాల్యూస్ చెప్పండి అమ్మా. ఈ వేవ్ఫామ్ చూడండి జాగ్రత్తగా. వేవ్ఫామ్ చూసి దీని యాంప్లిట్యూడ్స్ ఎలా ఉన్నాయి ఏంటి అనేది చాట్ బాక్స్ లో పోస్ట్ చేయండి. పోస్ట్ ఇట్ ఇన్ ద చాట్ బాక్స్. లెట్ us see who will post first. Come on, post it. చాట్ బాక్స్ లో పోస్ట్ చేయండి అమ్మా. I'll see how many of you understand this particular concept. ఈ వేవ్ఫామ్ చూసి వాటి యాంప్లిట్యూడ్స్ ఎలా ఉన్నాయో చాట్ బాక్స్ లో పోస్ట్ చేయండి. x of n మాత్రమే చూడండి. Please see this only this waveform, x of n only. Okay, now I'll give the answer. You please check it. So yeah, some of you are doing well, but the answer which you have mentioned is not right. Now observe it. Here, if you observe this waveform carefully, on the x-axis we have n, and on the y-axis we have x of n. So now observe it, the value of n is existing from -1 to 6. So when n is -1, what is x of -1 value? X of -1 value is 0. That means what you have to do is you have to post these values like this. Please try to understand. I'm going to use in the chart box. I'm going to post those values. The values are 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 3, 0, 0. Now, here I have to do one important thing. I have to put an arrow mark below this 0. I have to put an arrow mark I have to put an arrow mark below this 0. Please try to understand why I have to put an arrow mark below this 0 is uh, since this 0, if I put an arrow below this 0, which indicates that this is the location for the 0th sample. Now the meaning for this is if I represent an arrow below this second 0, that indicates this is a location where uh, the 0th location, the one which is right to this are first sample, second sample, third sample, fourth sample, fifth sample, like that. The one which is left to that negative side, -1, -2, -3, like that. So I have to represent an arrow below this second 0. So if I represent an arrow below this second 0, I have to put an arrow like this. I think I can't put the symbols like this. Here I have to put an for the time being, I can put some symbol here. Yeah, I can put some symbol here, but actually this question mark symbol is for the second 0. But in practice, here we should not put question mark. We have to put an arrow mark here. That represents the one which is right side to this arrow mark are the positive values, are the positive side direction components, and the one which is left to that represents the negative values. So here the meaning for this is here -1, at -1 I have an amplitude which is 0. At 0 I have an amplitude which is 0. At 1 I have an amplitude 1. At 2 I have an amplitude 2. At 3 I have an amplitude 3. At 4 I have an amplitude 3. At 5 I have an amplitude 6. Sorry, at 5 I have an amplitude 0. At 6 I have an amplitude 0. Now check the waveform. Is it right? Is it clear? Please post it in the chat box. Observe the waveform and tell me. I'll repeat it again, or I can write it like this. See, I can write like this: x of -1 is equal to 0. X of -1 is equal to 0. Comma, x of 0 equal to 0. X of 1, 1. X of 2, 2. x of 3, 3. Four. Now please check the chat box. Is it right? The equation which I represented with the curly braces and this one. Now please check it. The mathematical equation which I have written for all the each and every terms. Now check this. X of minus 1, if you observe minus 1, what is its value? 0. X of 0 is 0. X of 1, this is 1. X of 1 is having an amplitude of 1. X of 2 is having. Now observe this. Now when you observe this, here I represent curly braces, all the terms. This is the second term. Below this second term, I have to put an arrow below this. That means the one which are right to that, I can have 1, 2, 3, 4 like that, which are positive. The one which is left to that zero, second, the arrow one, which is negative. That is how we can identify the values and we can plot it. Is it clear? Please post it in the chat box if it is clear. Yeah. Now this is what our x of n is. Now please note this problem. I'm going to stop at this point. Please, all of you note this problem, and tomorrow I'll ask any one of you. I'm not going to ask all of you a single person all the bits. I'm going to ask random with roll numbers. Get ready. You have to explain. Now, please, if you want, you can take the snapshot also. And I'm going to share the PPT also. No, don't worry. But you have to explain all this A, B, C, D. We got all this A, B, C, D, and the answers also I have mentioned here. Please try to understand that. Please try to understand that, and you have to explain to me tomorrow. This is an assignment for you, for all of you. Please take the snapshot of this. And this problem, this is my x of n. And these are the questions he has asked: x of n minus 2, x of 2n, x of minus n, and x of minus n plus 2. So already I have given the answers also. You have to explain how you got this. This is an assignment to all of you. Get ready for the tomorrow's class. And with this, I'm going to stop for today's class. Please post your attendance and you can leave. Thank you.